Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, April 2030. And Cameron with you. Alex B. Smith will be back with us tomorrow, but we got two guests joining us today, and it's been a while since we've had two guests on the same show. We've got Ryan Sura back with us. He did a great job first time he was on the show. I think it was several months ago. We got him back today. Does great content. Check it out. Follow him on Twitter, Ryan Sura 18, all the content, lines at lunch, all that great stuff he's doing on social media. And look who's also back in the house. Longtime friend of the show. Haven't seen him for a while. Of course, he's been busy playing once again for the Florida Everblades, another ECHL regular season in the books, and ready to ramp up for another run at an ECHL Kelly Cup. The multiple-time ECHL Kelly Cup champion defenseman for the Florida Everblades, Jordan Sambrook, joining us. Jordan, what the hell, Mr. Sambrook? It has been way too long. How are you? Things good?
It has been way too long. I'm doing well. Doing well. Like we talked about earlier, they're ready for get another playoff run going, and excited for this time of year. Obviously, the playoffs in the NHL and ECHL, AHL, all the hockey starts now. So definitely looking forward to that.
Well, last night was nuts because people think, NHL is the focus right now, but you wouldn't know that if you were watching me operate the remote controls last night on the various screens, because I had a little AHL going, because we had a Marlies Rochester, we had a little Henderson Silver Knights in the late night hours against San Jose Barracuda. San Jose Barracuda in the late night hours. We had frickin' Brantford Bulldogs just down the road from me. We're in game one of the OHL Eastern Conference Final. I had that game going last night. So we're talking multiple things going on in the world of hockey. We got OHL, WHL, QMJHL playoffs in the junior ranks. AHL Calder Cup playoffs have started. The ECHL Kelly Cup playoffs are about to begin. So it's a great time of year if you're a hockey fan. But Jordan, just before we get into the NHL stuff, just a little thumbnail on the season that your team has had, the Florida Everblades. I think you're rocking and rolling again. Another great regular season. Division winner once again. Just the feel that, hey, we can make another deep run. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we have a really good team this year. Yeah, finished first in our conference and second overall in the league, I think. We had a great regular season, and I myself had my best career year yet in terms of point, pretty much all my stats, pretty much. But I was happy I was able to help out, and so we got a good roster and looking forward to a deep run.
That's awesome. No doubt. And I'll be checking it out. We got the nice thing about the service that we use, IPTV. We've got the freaking Flow Hockey as part of that. So we get all the games, AHL, ECHL, Junior. So we can keep an eye on everything. We got multiple friends of the show in the ECHL Kelly Cup playoffs. We got our guys, Luke Adam and Casey Bailey over there with Tahoe, the Night Monsters, about to begin their Kelly Cup playoff journey as well. How about your teammate? Is he still kicking, Nuber the Goober there?
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, he's still here. He signed a little late this year, but he's ready to he's had a good year and all that sort of stuff. So He's been good for us. And, he brings that veteran experience and kind of teaches the ropes to all the under guys and all that. So he's been great.
Yeah, he has, like I said, and he's going to defend you guys if anyone starts any shit on the ice. That's the best part about a guy like that, no question. Boy, oh boy, it's just been amazing, the consistency of your team over these years. It's been how many years in a row now for Florida in the playoffs?
I think 10 years in a row, and I think out of the entire Everblades 27-year history, I think they only missed the playoffs once, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, you got a little mini dynasty thing going. I mean, if there's your team is as close to an ECHL, East Coast Hockey League dynasty right now. There's no question. There's
no question about that at all. 4 years, and it just, like I said, I think I said it before, but just the mindset of the whole organization that we bring in high character guys, everybody that wants to win, and everybody that wants to go deep in the playoffs. So it's kind of this culture that's been created here, and I love it, and everybody else embraces it as well.
And it's Otero, Florida, and it's good weather, and it's good golf courses and all that good shit. So, yeah, it's not like you have to twist people's arm to play there. And it's a winning team every year. It's not like you have to really go out on a limb to convince people, hey, play for the Florida Everblades, right?
Yeah, everybody's in for that. Nobody says no for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. Good stuff. Well, we wish you all the best, Jordan, and another ECHL Kelly Cup playoff run starting for you tomorrow night, I believe, game 1.
Yep, tomorrow night
in Florida. So good luck and wish you all the best. Bring it home once again. And just like we've got 16 teams in the NHL trying to bring something home right now, a Stanley Cup. We'll look back at last night, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. In case we didn't know already, Philadelphia is just the better team in this series. I think it's starting to prove that once again last night. And you know what's funny is Pittsburgh can't beat Philly when Philly scores the first goal because Philly clamps down defensively. But last night, Philadelphia proved Pittsburgh can score the first goal, but we're not out of a game when they score the first goal, unlike the other way around, because they came back. They got 3 unanswered goals in the second period to really take command of that game. It was just, I thought Pittsburgh's power play was good, but again, at 5-on-5 even strength, there's just been such a big advantage in this series for the Flyers. And Skinner, up until last night, game 1 and game 2, you're nuts if you blame Stuart Skinner. There were bigger problems for Pittsburgh in those 2 games than his performance in net. But last night was subpar. Last night, it felt like the Rasmus Ristolainen goal that he's got to have. It's right along the ice. It's right under his pads. Got to make that save. That felt like just the air out of the balloon moment for the Pittsburgh Penguins last night when they had the start they wanted. And it was a great game. And I was damn close to a sweep last night with the Patreon card. If you're a Patreon member, you saw it. But the only thing we lost was a small live bet on Minnesota. But there's no question that, we had a good read on that game. We said we bought the dip with the total, saying now that it's fallen to 5.5 for the first time, I think this is now the right time to bet over in this Pittsburgh Philly series. And then, of course, Pittsburgh getting the first goal, I think, helped that game go over the total because it meant Philly had to open up the game a bit. We had Pittsburgh first goal, first period at plus 130. That cashed in. And then we had, Philly, a little bit on Philly live when they were down 1-0, but also pregame saying that Pittsburgh could score the first goal, but Philly could definitely come back and still win the game. And that's exactly what happened last night. Dan Vladar outstanding, although there was a moment they thought he got injured, and it looked like it could have been something significant, but he was able to shake it off and finish the game. But it was just another real, and then once they got the lead, other than the power play goal, Philadelphia's just done a real good job. I think, look, Crosby has not been good, but I'm thinking he's not 100%. He definitely feels like he's playing through something. Remember, he was battling some injuries second half of the year too. So, but not to take anything away from Philadelphia. They are up 3-0 in this series for a very good reason. They have simply been the far superior team. They've shut down Pittsburgh. What's Pittsburgh's red hot, the Manthas and the Shinikovs of the world, ripping it up in the second half of the season? Where have they gone so far in this series? And you got to give the Flyers credit for that defensively. Ryan, your thoughts on last night in the series overall and the Keystone State battle?
Yeah, I thought, I had Penguins money line yesterday. I was like, my kind of deal with that was if they don't win game 3, I think they're done. And at this point, I feel like seems like the story's kind of written itself a little bit. Like, I can't see them winning game 4 at this point. Like, they're too much of a, I guess you could say, an experienced group. I just don't know how much resiliency they have left looking at some of these games down the stretch that they've played. I think also they had a great start, probably their best start of the 3 games last night. And then you had that weird, after the Konechny Rust kerfuffle in front of the net where Rust got elbowed and then Konechny was apparently kicking him. It's like a 15-minute break for the players. All the fans were getting restless. The refs were going back and forth from bench to bench. And then Rust ends up with a penalty. Rust ends up with a penalty. The Flyers go on the power play, score. And then after those 2 Skinner goals, the Ristolainen goal and then the Sealer shot from the point, it didn't seem like the Penguins had too much left in their sails. So, as much as I was a believer, I got duped by the end of the season by the Penguins, thinking that maybe this is 10 years ago they won one of their most recent cups. Is this the year they maybe make a little bit of a fake run to maybe the Eastern Conference Final? And I was very, very wrong, seems like.
Yeah, it seems like it could be 1-2-3 Cancun coming up for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's never easy to finish a team in the 4th game, and it very easily could be a sweep. But at the same point in time, like I said, it's hard to see a way back for Pittsburgh considering just how strong, dominant, and excellent defense, and plus Vladar. Danny Briere picked up Dan Vladar for pennies on the dollar in the offseason, and it's turned into one of the most savvy offseason acquisitions and investments that any team in the league has made because of just how terrific he's been and continues to be for the Philadelphia Flyers in net. Darth Vladar, I love how they play the Star Wars music in the arena when he makes the big save. Darth Vladar has been great for them. Jordan, thoughts on Pittsburgh being down 0-3?
Yeah, I just think Philadelphia has been so smothering. They've been physical. They've been not giving Pittsburgh much. And, from personal experience, it's tough.
That Jordan Sandbrook defense that Philadelphia is playing to perfection. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's so tough when teams are playing like that. You just, even when you score, you feel like, you're chasing the game still and all that stuff. And obviously with them going up 3-0 last night, it's tough to come back from 3-0. I'm sure Pittsburgh's saying game by game, but I don't see them winning anything. To be completely honest, in this series, I think Philadelphia is going to take it in 4, and just the way they've been playing, I don't see them stopping. And I know when you're up 3-0, it's tough to close them out, but you also want to get that rest and don't want it to go any further. So I think this one ends in 4 for sure.
Rich is right. I think we got to do this. It's never obviously going to happen, and this is a bit tongue in cheek and just as a ha-ha comment, but still, I'd consider it. Players need to start getting 5 minutes for not dropping their gloves, but they're throwing punches, or they're pawing at one another in a scrum, but they won't drop their gloves and actually go at it. Like, if you're not going to do what Hagel and Slavkovsky did the other night, where you just agree to this pawing and this dog and pony show, it's got to stop. In these scrums where you're just, scrumming it up and, face washing and just, trying to grab guys and pulling at them and all. It's just ridiculous at this point. Drop the damn gloves. Shit or get off the pot. John Massey always says that. So, yeah, we've seen a lot of that.
Well, yeah, with Rust yesterday, right? Like with the whole Konechny thing. Konechny dropped his gloves after Rust was fucking feeding him, and then he just skated away. I didn't get that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, I ranted on it and on the Betcast, but it was for Patreon members. And by the way, shout out to everyone that joined us on the Betcast last night. Patreon members, great. And I stuck it out on the Betcast till 2 a.m. just to bring that Dallas Minnesota game home last night, just for you guys. I hope you realize how much I do for you. Never forget it. Being on that damn Betcast till 2 a.m. last night, bringing it home. But nevertheless, I said it on the Betcast. I'll rant about it here. That was absolutely absurd. It took 20 minutes, it felt like, to get that penalty sorted out after that one scrum last night in Philadelphia. That's a troll. You got freaking referees writing it down like they're trying to take notes from the teacher on a lecture in high school. It was ridiculous.
It made no sense. Been kind of a ref show of some of these games, I feel like.
Yeah, and then multiple consultations. What is this? I'm talking to my doctor? What are we doing here? One-on-one consultations, the referee with both coaches. Dan Muse and Rick Tocchet, multiple consultations. They talked to them once, wrote it down, talked to themselves, then went back to talk to the coaches. It was 20 minutes almost before play resumed after one of the major scrums last night during that Flyers-Penguins game. It took forever. It was such a long delay that the players had to stretch their legs. They had to give them time to just basically, get their joints all limber and ready to go again. That's because of how long that delay was. That can't happen. It's ridiculous. Get the game moving. It's just absolutely insane. And I know you agree, Ryan, definitely. Jordan, have you ever been in that where the scrum, you're involved in a game and it takes like 15 minutes to resume it? Like 15 minutes. It could have even been 20, I think, last night.
Yeah, there was one actually a couple weeks ago. It was like a long scrum. Guys were fighting in the corner, blah, blah, blah.
There's a lot of these in the ECHL, by the way.
Yeah, there's a lot. There was it went on for like 5 minutes on the ice, and we all got to the box. The entire, it's like 5 of us on the ice from each team got to the box. We're just sitting there, and the ref's trying to sort it out. And the linesman comes over like 2 minutes later, goes, "Okay, you guys all got 10-minute misconducts. Just head to the room." So we all, like, as a group of 5, just stayed off the ice. I think there's probably clips of it on Twitter. I might have to try to find it, but it was funny. There was like 7 minutes left in the second. So obviously the 10-minute just brought it right to the intermission. But all 10 guys just stayed off the ice. It was pretty funny.
What did you say there, Benji? Not at Wichita Thunder games. Oh, you're calling them soft now? The Wichita Thunder? No fights, no fisticuffs there? Oh, interesting. I think that's what he's referring to when he says that. But great job, Flyers. going up 3-0 in that series. Obviously, Dallas, Minnesota, the next was just it was a great hockey game. It was start to finish. It was great. Dallas jumped out early 2-0. They really had a good start to the game. Minnesota looked a little shaky, but Minnesota got that big goal late first to cut it to 2-1. And it felt like from that point on, it was starting to look like game one again, where just Minnesota looked like they were winning the puck battles. The faster team ended up taking the lead 3-2. Obviously, what an incredible power play goal Dallas scored in the third to tie the game, though. The patience of Mikko Rantanen has not had a great series. There's even people saying he warranted milk carton status, after the first two games for Dallas. That's how disappointing it's been, because you expect a lot from him. You expect a lot from him because of the kind of player he is. But he finally, it was a wonderful wonderful assist to Duchesne on the power play. Just patience, poised with the puck, waited, found Duchesne on the backside, the back door for an easy tap in, tie the game 3-3. It goes to overtime. Give Dallas's penalty kill credit. Radek Faksa, among others, so many block shots on the multiple. Minnesota had multiple power plays in a row to put that game away in overtime. Dallas killed off every single one, and then Dallas finally got a couple power plays, and on their second, it was a point shot from Heiskanen, and what a redirect by Wyatt Johnston, Mr. Game Winner in overtime. He's done this before. He talked about in the postgame, he's learned from Joe Pavelski when they were teammates in Dallas toward the end of Pavelski's career, how to tip pucks, deflect pucks, really perfect that, work on it. And boy, was it perfect what he was able to do there. Perfect redirection past Jesper Wallstedt, who was excellent, by the way, in overtime last night for a big 4-3 overtime win for Dallas to take a 2-1 series lead. Missed opportunity for Minnesota. And now they're in a situation where Game 4 is very important for the Wild if they hope to remain in this series. Jordan, your thoughts on Minnesota-Dallas? That was a great game last night.
Yeah, it was. I didn't watch that one, but I saw the highlights of it, and I don't know. This series to me has a long feel to it. I feel like this is going to get stretched out to 6 or 7 games, and
I hope so. I got 6-7 games pending in this series. Yeah, I hope so.
There you go. But yeah, it just feels like both teams are going back and forth, both kind of play that fast, physical style, and yeah, obviously Dallas taking a 2-1 lead, that could be a momentum kind of shift for them, and yeah, they're obviously going to want to get game 4 there and go up 3-1 because it's tough to come back from that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Minnesota's going to take the next one, and then who knows from there. But yeah.
Yeah, this is still not over. I mean, this is still going to be a long series. Actually, I wouldn't be totally shocked if Minnesota wins game 4. I think it's going to be not easy for Dallas to win both games in that building, but you never know. We know Minnesota's had issues in the first round before, but that becomes a big game for them coming up. And by the way, 3-0 to the over now in this series so far. And like I said, it's just been a high-scoring series. It was a high-scoring series other than one meeting in the regular season between them as well, and that's carried over as well. Ryan, what did you think of Dallas's win?
Yeah, I thought they kind of set the pace and the tempo of the game, which I think it's really interesting when you have a team go from away to home, like especially the Wild this year. Obviously, starting on the road, I feel like you come into that as the underdog, and obviously this was one of the most 50-50 split series, but still the Wild a little bit less experienced than the Stars being the Western Conference Final 3 straight years. And then you go back home where there's way more pressure, I feel like. Because at that point, you're expected to win because you're in the home environment. But you're not necessarily super comfortable in that playoff environment. And I think you look at Wallstedt, and you could say the same thing for that as well. Like, you go from having, I'm just going to make a bunch of saves in the away rink. There's not going to be a ton of pressure. Sure, there's going to be people calling my name, but whatever. At home, when a goal gets let in, like the energy gets sucked out of the arena. And then it's like, shit, now what do I do? I feel like it's a little bit harder to calibrate. And I think we saw that a little bit with the Wild. I know there were a ton of penalties, and I don't think Jesper Wallstedt played bad by any stretch. I mean, 89 save percentage, but he had, I think, like 30 saves, 31 saves, 32 saves.
He was good in overtime. Maybe a little iffy earlier in the game, but good in overtime. Yeah,
he was good in overtime. So, yeah, I thought Dallas really brought it, and I think I agree with. I think the sentiment for this series has been the same all the way since it's really been listed. This is going to be a 7-game series, and I think when you're looking at Dallas and Minnesota, I think Minnesota's center depth is obviously a little bit. It's been the issue, and one thing that people have always been very critical of them for. Obviously, without Rupe Hintz makes it a little bit of an easier matchup for them. But still looking at those third and fourth lines, like I would rather be backing a team like the Dallas Stars who have Jamie Benn on their third line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he knows how to play playoff hockey better than Danila Yurov. Like, Tarasenko's on their third line for the Wild, but I feel like, you know, a couple more guys get hurt down there, and I feel like it'll be a little bit easier for Dallas as the series gets on.
Yeah, no question. And then the last game of the night, this has been a great series too through 2 games. Anaheim, Edmonton. You want fire wagon, fast paced, end to end, just edge of your seat hockey. You're getting it with these 2 teams, and not surprising. Are we going to see a 7 in Game 3 between these 2 teams? That's going to be the question. We have seen it. Actually, you know what? It's pretty much 7. I'm seeing it now. Friday night, Game 4 and Game 3 in Anaheim. Most books have 7, juice to the under for the total, and you figured it had to be that way. You can't keep doling out 6.5s at this point in time in this series. I mean, we're just seeing it. Both games obviously go over the total. That's a gutsy win by Anaheim. I felt Anaheim had a response in them here in Game 2 last night because they were down 2-0 in the first period of Game 1, and then they came back with those 3 unanswered goals in the second period. They fell victim in the third. Young team on the road trying to close out a game for the first time in the playoffs, and they lost 4-3. But I like the resolve they showed in the second period of Game 1 to get back in that game. I said, they're probably going to give Edmonton a battle tonight. I liked them in the first period to score a goal. They did. We cashed that. We cashed the first period, both teams to score. It's funny, is I had Edmonton team total for the game over 3.5. And even though they lost the game, we cashed that as well, even though they ended up losing to Anaheim, plus, of course, the full game over. So that was an excellent betting result there for me in that game. Of course, the best bet in the previous game we talked about for the show cashed as well, Minnesota-Dallas over. But it was a great game back and forth. Connor McDavid, look, we got to give him the praise and the adulation, and we'll say, man, what a play. He amazes. What a play. That's one of the plays only Connor McDavid can make when he does something amazing. We also have to be fair and say something negative when he does something awful. And his turnover on the penalty kill in that second period was as bad as it gets. I've never seen something worse from him in a long time than that. Are you kidding me? Connor McDavid, of all people. Jordan Sandbrook knows not to do this stuff as a defenseman in his own zone. Jordan Sandbrook, would you do a blind backhand pass to absolutely nobody in your own zone on a penalty kill situation? Would you do that? Let me hear.
Definitely not. And I would hear about it from the uppers. That's for sure.
Well, the best player on the planet apparently didn't get the memo. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And people are making excuses. Well, he's playing less than 100%. Does that impact your ability to just see the ice and think a little bit for a minute? I mean, that was just a bad moment. Absolutely atrocious. I mean, blind, backhand. You got to at least look to see if you've got a teammate there in that area. The puck never got out of the zone. Anaheim swoops in, and bam, redirection in front, 4-2. And it felt like that was the goal, where it started to feel like this is Anaheim's game. It was a dagger because Edmonton had just made it 3-2 after being down 3-1. Dostal was amazing. Dost Wall last night with how well he played. And then you got back in it, and then that mistake by McDavid. And that set Edmonton back, and it felt like it was Anaheim's game at that point. And Anaheim does indeed bring it home and tie up the series at 1. Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I had the Ducks plus 1.5 yesterday. Should have just sacked up and taken the money line, but it seems like always these first few games of these playoff series in the first round for Edmonton, they just tend to play with their food a little bit. And I don't know if it's Draisaitl coming back in the lineup and they just haven't been able to find their the ability to click. But they don't look good. They don't look good. Bouchard, like someone mentioned in the chat, is continuing to make those turnovers where it's looked like his controller got turned off. And it seems like too, like Ingram, like I don't even think you can really fault Ingram. It seems like he's a little bit left out to dry in a lot of the cases. Like Anaheim's obviously a very good offensive team and very fast and very young, but a lot of their scoring opportunities, it seems like, are coming right what you would pretty much label a high danger chance. So Edmonton's defense has been, surprisingly bad. I was a believer in with everyone else thinking that, adding Jason Dickinson and Connor Murphy, maybe Colton Dock, add a little bit of toughness, tenacity to this team, a little bit more of a defensive-minded play style, but it doesn't seem like the case. And now with how hurt McDavid is, who really knows? Like, how healthy is Draisaitl, I don't think they're going to lose this series, but it seems like it might be a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a battle now on their hands. And Anaheim's got confidence now going back to the Honda Center for Game 3 Friday night for the first home playoff game in years. They're a third period with Anaheim holding the fort in Game 1. Edmonton's a third period of Game 1 with Anaheim holding the fort away from being down 2-0 right now. So that's something you got to be right. You've played pretty much 2 average games at best, and I would say subpar, below average games if you're Edmonton. And you could have been down 2-0. Yeah, it's 1-1. Bouchard's got to pick it up. Again, what are they? Szymanski gave them finally a little punch in the bottom 6, but you're going to need more of that because clearly I think, McDavid's a little bit impaired as far as the, not being quite 100%. I think that's clear that he's not quite 100%. But at the same point in time, that's a horrible turnover. That's bad as it gets. And I'm stunned we saw that from a player of the caliber of number 97 there, Connor McDavid last night. Like I said, Jordan, as we turn to you for your thoughts on Anaheim Edmonton, even Jordan Sandbrook's not making that kind of error.
No, definitely not. Obviously, he's the best player in the world, but you don't usually see that from him. But last night, obviously, the power play was huge. I think Anaheim got 2, and Edmonton went over 4, I think. So that's obviously a huge part of Edmonton's game. When that power play is clicking, it seems like it scores every time, or at least a couple of times a game with those offensive guys that they got. And like you said there earlier, it's kind of hard to blame Ingram. I feel like these goals are kind of stuff that he can't really do. But I mentioned this before. I had Chris Knobloch as a coach back in junior, and he's a great coach. He's gonna rebound well or respond well after that loss. So I'm a bit biased. I really enjoy watching the Oilers. I like the Oilers. So I think they'll get it done by the end of the series. But yeah, it might go a little longer than what people kind of thought originally.
Yeah, Jordan Sandbrook, former Erie Otter in the Ontario Hockey League, and of course Chris Knobloch coaching there for a period of time. Is he as low key as it seems? It seems like it takes a lot to get fire and brimstone and just him going nuts on somebody or someone. It takes a lot for him to get to that point.
Yeah, he's more constructive, doesn't really scream and yell, but I know for myself, I enjoy that. He lets you know when you make a good play and just kind of pulls you aside and says it low key when you kind of need something to work on. He's not going to scream and yell at you. So, like I said, I enjoyed that as a player for him, and I enjoyed kind of when coaches do that. So
there you go. That's pretty much what we thought. But it's a pretty low key guy when you see him behind the bench. It's I think you see maybe count on one hand. You know how many times you've seen him have a temper tantrum behind the bench since he's been head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, but may have to crack the whip a little harder now after last night. Series tied 1-1 going back to Anaheim. It was an excellent betting night, but much needed because it's been a kind of a rocky playoff so far for me, but it was a great betting night last night. Really, really strong. My only regret is I had Kapanen for Edmonton as one of my bargain bin special selections. I was considering Szymanski. I didn't go with Szymanski. I still bet Szymanski to score, but I almost went with him for bargain bin special. Plus 875 it was for him to score last night. One hell of a great price for sure. All right, let's get into Thursday night. We got 3 games. We'll start with Game 3 between the Buffalo Sabres and Boston Bruins at TD Garden. Even money, minus 110 both sides. Total of 6. Series tied 1-1. I think if you're fair and accurate about how this series has gone in 2 games, I think it's pretty fair to say that in 6 periods, Boston's won 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them so far of the 6. You give Buffalo the third period of Game 1, and with the incredible comeback, and that's about it. I think Boston's just really got themselves in a position now where they feel, hey, we can win this damn series. And now they go back home to a home ice where they've been absolutely spectacular all season. We've talked about the home road split all season long between the Bruins at home versus the Bruins on the road. So the Bruins are probably feeling like, man, we're feeling great. We got out of Buffalo with a split when we've been a horrible road team all season. And now they get to go back home and face the Buffalo Sabres there. And, of course, they played well at home all year. You would think big advantage here for Boston. One thing I will say, though, is for as great as Boston's been at home, Buffalo's been a damn good road team this year. Big reason why the Sabres, have had this great season overall is because their road record's been pretty solid. Now, was obviously going to be some discussion stirred up emanating from the Game 2 loss, that maybe Lindy Ruff would go the route of a goalie switch coming out of the 4-2 Game 2 loss, including that horrific goal against Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in that game. The center ice, one bounce and in over the glove from center ice from Morgan Geekie in that one. I don't think it's that. I don't think that one moment, for as awful as it was, and it's half, yeah, he's got to get his chest in front of that puck and not let it go in, and it's half kind of shit luck too, because it did take that crazy hop over the glove and in. It, like I said, it reminded me of Dan Cloutier, Vancouver, Detroit, some 20-plus years ago. It reminded me of Vesa Toskala for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Islanders. Yeah, there's some bad memories. That puck was bouncing like on a road somewhere, bouncing, and that last bounce just goes over his glove and in. Yeah, Vesa Toskala forever on like top 10 blooper reels for NHL the crazy goals allowed by goaltenders, for sure with that. Jordan, you remember that, right?
Oh, do I ever? I can picture it in my mind.
Yeah, that was when the Leafs were really bad. You think it was bad this year? Yeah, those were some real rough times for the Leafs back when Vesa Toskala was one of their goaltenders at the time. But that's what it reminded me of. I don't think it's just because of that one goal. It's also, I think, because Alex Lyon has a track record of playing very well on the road. If you look at his road record this year, it's been great. Remember, Alex Lyon at one point this year had won 10 straight road starts for the Buffalo Sabres and was going for the record of 11. So Lindy Ruff clearly feels like he has got the temperament to play well on the road. It looks like Alex Lyon's going to be in net. I don't know if Lindy made an official confirmation, but if you read all the reporters and beat writers that are there in Boston, he was in the starter's net at the morning skate for Buffalo. So you got to expect it's going to be Alex Lyon here tonight for Buffalo. I don't know if I like Buffalo for the game, but I want to point out about the trend that's starting to emerge. The team that lost the previous game scoring a goal in the first period of the next game. You know, it's starting to become prevalent once again. It started slow. It was 3-4, that system going into last night. 3-4, with teams losing the previous game of the series, scoring in the first period of the next game. Last night, it was a 3-0 sweep for that angle. Pittsburgh lost the previous game, but they scored in the first last night. Minnesota lost the previous game, but they scored in the first last night. Anaheim lost in the previous game. They scored in the first last night. And it's a simple logic to it. You know, you expect the team that lost the previous game to come out with urgency, come out with a strong push. We saw it from Pittsburgh. We saw it from Minnesota and Anaheim even last night. I expect that from Buffalo, especially knowing they haven't even come close to playing their best game so far in this series for 60 minutes. So I'm going to go to Buffalo first goal, first period here in this game tonight between the Sabres and Bruins. Right now, the price on Buffalo to get a first period goal is -160 at FanDuel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for that just to drop a touch and bet it maybe in the first couple minutes. After the first couple minutes, we'll get a better price on that during the first period. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. Buffalo first goal, first period. Buffalo first period goal. Bet that in game at a little better price. As far as the game goes here, with the scene shifting, I think the draw could get there. I think we're due for an overtime affair between these two teams. Buffalo's been a good road team. Boston's been a good home team this year. Expect a competitive game. Not touching the total pregame here. Just looking toward a little bit on the draw and those Buffalo looks early. First goal, first period, and first period goal. Ryan, what do you think here with Buffalo-Boston Game 3?
Yeah, I think this game is obviously extremely important for Buffalo and how they respond and how they come out. I think the first two games, they've obviously come out a little bit flat-footed, and Boston's taken advantage of that. I was at Game 2 in Buffalo, and you could see, like, even the fans, like, they're excited, but they're nervous. Like, I think they knew they kind of got away with one in Game 1. And they didn't know how it was going to go in Game 2. And you could tell for the first two periods, really until the last 8 minutes where Buffalo scored their two goals. It didn't really seem like they had any jam or any mojo. It seemed like they were kind of chasing the entire game. And I feel like it's not easy or hard to do that. But when you have Jeremy Swayman in the other net, I feel like, how does this series get easier for Buffalo? Swayman's been one of the better goalies at home all year, if not the best goalie at home. It's one of the reasons why their record is so good at home this season. So how does that change? And then playing into the goalie thing, the arena, the life got sucked out of the arena when UPL let that goal in from fucking half court. Like it was a tough look for UPL, and it was tough for the building and the fans just in general. So I don't hate an Alex Lyons start here tonight if that's what the case is. I agree. I haven't seen anything confirmed, but it seems like that's the direction that they're going in. Like you mentioned it, Ian, from the start of January to mid-March, he was a top 4 goalie in the NHL. His goals saved above expected numbers were top 5, right up there with Vasilevsky and Sorokin. So I was personally leaning closer towards an over in this game, just because the Sabres have been great to overs after a loss this year, 20-11-1 to the over after a loss this season.
Wow.
And I think looking at that situation, I feel the reason for that is they rely on their heavy, brutal offense, which is a lot of the time why they've won a lot of these games. Sure, they've gotten great goaltending, but I think their offense is what they've relied on throughout the course of the season and their ability to finish at 5-on-5. So I would prefer an over. I didn't get there on this one. I don't have an official pick for this one, but my lean would be the over. And I do like what you said about the tie as well, Ian.
Yeah, good stuff. And a couple injury notes for Buffalo. Well, Boston, I don't think their lineup's going to change too much from the last game. No, it's exactly the same, Swayman and net. But Buffalo, no Josh Norris. This was kind of a surprise. This took us by surprise this morning that Josh Norris wasn't on the ice for morning skate, and he's been ruled out day to day for the Sabres. So that sucks because I like the chemistry with Norris, the two Joshes, Norris, Stone, and Benson. But now Noah Ostlund is going to draw in and be on that third line center spot with Doan and with Benson. And I still like that line, though, as far as props tonight. Like, they've been dangerous. It hasn't come through for them yet as far as goals, but they've certainly had opportunities, no question. And then there's a bunch. You guys in the chat, I see you guys with the block shots. There's a bunch that makes sense here. Addison's already all over it. Jonathan Aspero for Boston, defenseman. He's gone over 1.5 shots on goal in 4 straight games, dating back to the regular season, both games in this series, and it's only minus 110. Like, there's been very little, if any, price adjustment. Hard not to bet that, 100%. 4 straight over 1.5 block shots. Jonathan Aspero. Connor Timmins for Buffalo. He's actually gone over shots, block shots, over 1.5 in 3 straight games. And he is in the lineup again with Stanley on that third pair for Buffalo. So there's another one to consider as far as if you're into block shots going into this game. Aspero and Timmins for their respective teams. Very strong numbers. Tage Thompson's gone over shots on goal, over 3.5 in 3 straight. Alex Tuck has gone over 2.5 shots on goal in both games this series. Bo Byram's gone over 1.5 shots on goal in both games this series, as has I Got the Power, Owen Power for the Buffalo Sabres. He's gone over his shots on goal, over 1.5 in both games. So again, if you're riding these trends, that's what you rock with. Morgan Geekie, 3-game goal-scoring streak for the Boston Bruins going back to the regular season, entering tonight. Zaka's scored a lot at home. I could see him maybe finding the back of the net here. And then last but not least, from a saves prop standpoint, Jeremy Swayman over 25.5 saves. That is cashed in both games so far in this series. So there's a bunch of good trends to go maybe potentially roll with here when it comes to player props for this game tonight. Jordan, how do you see it going here? Sabres Bruins.
Yeah, personally, I think Buffalo's going to come out pretty strong. I think they're going to, a bunch of young kids, excited to go play on the road, playing TD Garden. They're going to need that good start to have a chance to win this game tonight, because obviously, like you said there, Boston's been a great home team. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to come out strong, and I could see them taking this first one on the road tonight. And I just feel like they get that first one, and I feel like they're not going to look back. So
zigzag theory, right? Too, if you think it's going to be a competitive series, back and forth. We talk about this in the NBA as well. It doesn't work in the blowout series. Like I have zero interest in the zigzag theory with Colorado, Los Angeles, none at all. It's just Colorado's better. But in games where you think the teams are pretty competitive, pretty close, could go back and forth, the zigzag theory works, betting the losing team of the previous game. So like I said, I would lean Buffalo here, but I like them early more than for the full game here at minus 110. Good stuff. Yeah, that's exactly why, Aaron. I mean, Buffalo really hasn't put it together yet. I'm not interested in the Sabres for the full game. I like them early, because I think we're going to get a good punch from them early, but I don't know for the full game. I'm not there with Buffalo yet for the full game. Ryan's going to have to take off in a couple minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the next two games just with him. Carolina, Ottawa. Carolina up 2-0 in the series. Almost a must-win for Ottawa, as close to must-win as it gets. Ottawa minus 125, home favorites, 5.5 total. Little surprised Frederik Andersen's going back in net. I thought after double overtime, older goalie, big minutes, stressful minutes in that game, that they'd give him a rest and turn to Bussy. Not the case. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for Carolina? Ryan, what do you think here? Kane Sens.
Yeah, I'm on the Sens in the over in this game. I think it is one of the reasons why I took the over yesterday in the Wild and Dallas game. There's been a lot of offense created in this series in the first two games, and I think both goalies have played really well. You look at Freddie Andersen's, he's been the best goalie in the NHL or in the playoffs, but for sure. So far, I would say I think he has 6 goals saved above expected, which is like absolutely absurd for what he's doing at his age right now, and how the regular seasons have gone for him recently too. So I don't see that necessarily continuing. The main reason being, I feel like you get a little bit comfortable, especially he was in his home rink. Like you get comfortable with all the things you're seeing. You're in a brand new rink. You haven't practiced in that rink as much. I feel like maybe some of the shots you might not be seeing as clear. And I think you could maybe say the same thing for Allmark. I think he'll be a little bit more confident at home though, because his numbers kind of have proven that. He's been a much better goalie at home this season. So I like Ottawa. I think they come out hot in their first game, going down 2-0 at home. So I like Ottawa money line, and I prefer the over. But I like both of those plays in this game.
All right, Ottawa, liking them, lean over as well for Ryan there. All right, West first round, game 3, Colorado, LA, the late game tonight, minus 160, Colorado, road favorites, 5.5 the total. Colorado up 2-0 in this series. It's been a weird series where it feels like Colorado's in complete control, and yet what was the final score of game 1 and game 2? 2-1. Makes you feel like, boy, LA's really pushed them. But in both games, you never really felt like, wow, I really think LA is going to win this hockey game. It never really felt that way to me in game 1 and in game 2. What do you think here, Ryan, for game 3 tonight?
Yeah, I'm taking the over in this one too. Also, a good trend that I forgot to mention when I was talking about Canes and Sens, when you have a first round playoff series and the first 2 games go under, the over is a very good play just to go against. It kind of goes with what I was saying before in terms of new rink. The goalies maybe not as familiar with like their eyesight and the pucks that they're seeing. It happened last year in the Capitals Canadian series. The
Pittsburgh Philly last night. Yep.
Pittsburgh Philly last night. Exactly. 6-3 in the Caps Canadians games. The one game where it hasn't gone over in that scenario since the 2022 playoff was last year when the Devils and the Canes were playing. It was 3-2 in game 3 in like a double overtime game. But look at the Colorado Kraken series that happened. The game 3 was 6-4 or something like that. Florida and Tampa 3 years ago as well. So there's definitely a little, and it makes sense in my mind too. You look at something with 2-1 games, but if you look at the shots and the offense created, in my mind, it doesn't really add up. I feel like, again, you go back home for the Kings. Both of those games have been close. I feel like there's a little bit of added pressure now. Now it's like you probably should win one of these games at home, considering how close those games were. So maybe Forsberg doesn't play as well. Maybe we see the game open up a little bit more. And my bargain bin is actually in this game. I'm going with Lehkonen to score a goal. Plus 390. I got that this morning, playing on the first line with McKinnon and Natchez. He's been a road warrior in the playoffs his whole career. And even I remember when, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, when they had that COVID during the run during the COVID year, he scored the game winner against Vegas to clinch to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. He did the same thing for Colorado. I feel like when they need a big goal, he usually kind of shows up, especially in the playoffs. So I feel like that price playing with those guys at 5-on-5, and then on the second power play unit. I know the second power play unit doesn't see a ton of time on Colorado, but I took his point as well at plus 115. So.
There you go. But the bargain, there you go. Great segue, because that was next up for Ryan. Bargain bin special tonight. Arturi Lehkonen, Colorado, plus 390 to find the back of the net for his bargain bin special tonight. Ryan, great stuff. Before we let you go, best bet for this Thursday slate. What do you got?
The best bet, I think I'll go back to the game I was just talking about. Go to the Avalanche Kings game. I think what we've seen from Anton Forsberg has been awesome. I definitely try to, as much as it kind of can prove you wrong at certain times, to try to catch that falling knife or where you find the bad goalie performances. You know, it worked last night with Dallas and what I had in mind for Wallstedt. I feel like it's a similar scenario for the Forsberg and the Kings here. You know, he doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. He comes home where there's a little bit more added pressure. How much can he continue to, you know, mitigate this onslaught that is the Colorado Avalanche offense? So yeah, I like the over here. And I think LA could do the same thing, score 1 or 2 goals to help this get over the 5.5 total.
All right, there you go. Colorado Avalanche, Los Angeles Kings over 5.5, and you can get that anywhere from about -110 to -115 right now as far as the price on that. My only concern is, and I was stunned when I saw this after game 2, because I went to the over in game 2, and it obviously no chance. It was 2-1. 10-0 under run for the Colorado Avalanche entering tonight, and it's just been, they haven't been scoring. They haven't had that offense from the back end lately either. That's been another issue for Colorado. So that's my one concern, but I'm kind of with you. This feels like 2 unders, venue change. We saw it with Pittsburgh, Philly. It went over in game 3, venue change after 2 unders. Maybe that's going to happen here with Colorado, LA. I think it could happen with Ottawa, Carolina as well, as both of those games down in Kakalaki stayed under. Venue change, maybe an over tonight. So I'm with you. I lean over in that game as well. Ryan, great stuff. We'll let you go. Promote anything you want on the way out, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on again, Ian. Be sure to check out our streams that we do every day at 12 o'clock, 12 to 1 on the Owners Box Twitch channel, Lines at Lunch, and then follow us on all our socials, Owners Box, and then we've also started a new hockey brand this year, Cherry Picking Hockey. So be sure to check that out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. A vlog coming out soon from game 2 of the Buffalo Sabres. So be sure to check that out on YouTube. And again, appreciate you having me on, Ian, and I'll catch you guys. Jordan, nice talking to you. Enjoy the run to the Kelly Cup. Hopefully it's fruitful this year for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
good stuff, Ryan. We'll get you back on later in the playoffs. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care. Good
stuff there with Ryan Sura joining us here on the show. All right, let's go circle back now to Carolina and Ottawa. I'm with Ryan. I'm with a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to like Ottawa in this spot. I mean, I think they're capable of finally winning a game. They could easily, you could even argue, should have won game 2, especially in overtime. First 3 periods, I think you have to give the edge to Carolina in game 2. But I thought in overtime they had the better chances. They hit a bunch of posts. Amadio had a chance off the post. Stützle hit the post. There were other unbelievable chances they had in game 2 of that series. Freddie Anderson starting. I don't like that for Carolina tonight because I think, a rest would have been good for him. I'd be stunned if he's as sharp, as effective here tonight. I expect urgency out of the gate for Ottawa. I'm going to take a shot with the money line here with Ottawa here, -125. Take a shot with the team total over for the full game. And obviously I mentioned the system with Buffalo, Boston. Buffalo first goal, first period, and Buffalo to get a goal in the first period. I'm going to be on that here as well. Ottawa first goal, first period, and Ottawa to get a goal in the first period of this one. And then the props of note. Yeah, by the way, Owen Power point. I don't know if I mentioned that in the Buffalo-Boston game, but that obviously is worth a look, and you're still getting a great price for Owen Power to get a point because he's gotten a point now so far in this series, multiple games in a row, 4 in a row going back to the regular season, and his point prop is +190. That's just an incredible price at this point in time for Owen Power for Buffalo. He's collected a point in 4 straight games, and you're getting that kind of price. Speaking of a great point streak, how about Logan Stankoven for Carolina? 10-game point streak coming into tonight. So I think you got to look at Logan Stankoven, whether it's point, goal, assist, anything along those lines. Jackson Blake's picked up a point in both games in this series, as has Taylor Hall. So those are a couple maybe to consider on the Carolina side of the equation. Stankoven's also scored in both games in this series. As far as Ottawa, Dylan Cousins goal, Batherson goal. I think this could be Warren Fogle time too. Warren Fogle had some good looks and chances, especially in game 2, including one in overtime. So I think the Fogue Daddy, that's his nickname, Warren Fogle for Ottawa. I think he could maybe percolate here. He's also a former Hurricane, and I think back at home, he might be a guy that's capable of finding the back. And Jake Sanderson, too. I think Jake Sanderson's going to be all over the ice tonight, coming off the 41 minutes in game 2 in that double overtime game. He's going to be active. He's going to jump into the play. They got to do something to try to kickstart this offense tonight and including maybe more aggression and pinching at the blue line from the likes of a Jake Sanderson. So Sanderson prop, point prop, goal prop even, I think is worth a sprinkle. Blocked shots for this game, because I know a lot of people are into them and they're cashing. Why not? They should be into them. Thomas Chabot's gone over 2.5 blocked shots in 3 straight games. Jake Sanderson's gone over 2.5 blocked shots in both games in this series. And Carolina is a shot volume king. They just shoot pucks a lot, high volume. They accumulate shots on goal. It plays right in. And even though Ottawa's the team down 2-0, sense of urgency, I'll be honest, guys, I think both goalies tonight could go over their saves prop, because I think Ottawa's going to pepper the net toward Anderson. I could see Anderson going over his saves prop tonight. It did go over, obviously, last game, albeit double overtime. And Linus Ullmark, he's gone over 26.5 saves in both games in this series. I think you could bet both goalies over their saves prop tonight and have a decent chance to go 2-0. Jordan, what do you think here for Game 3, Carolina-Ottawa?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think, Ottawa going back home, and I could definitely see them winning tonight. I definitely think they're going to win tonight. Overall, I think I have Carolina in 5 or 6 personally. I think they're just too good of a team. The Warren Fogle, I played with him in junior and in Erie as well, and he's known to step up in big moments, and he produced our Game 7 overtime winning goal in the second round against London. So I hope he has a good game. I could definitely see him having a good game, and I think Ottawa wins tonight, but unfortunately, I think it might be their only win of the series. Me as a Leafs fan, kind of hope it's their only win of the series. So
yeah, you're not that thrilled for Ottawa. Exactly, it is still Battle of Ontario. You're a Leaf fan, but yeah, it feels like tonight I do like them here to make it 2-1. I think Carolina's winning the series still at the end of the day, but like I said, I think for Ottawa, this is a game that they're – and plus, Carolina did not play well in Ottawa the last time they were here. And Carolina's lost a bunch of series or a bunch of games in series where they were up 2-0 after the first 2 games at home and then went on the road for Game 3. This has been a spot they've lost quite a bit. Game 3 on the road after being up 2-0 Carolina. So I think I like Ottawa too in all those various forms. I lean over 5.5 here, but we got a collision of trends because – you're right. Peanuts mentioning the 49-23 under run for playoff games after a double overtime game. But that collides with the other trend that says bet over here, which is 2 unders in Game 1 and Game 2, change of venue, Game 3, which often goes over after 2 unders. So pick your poison with that. Which one do you weigh more heavily? The double overtime trend that says under the next game, or the 2 unders, change of venue to Game 3, and it goes over a lot in Game 3. And we saw that with Philadelphia, Pittsburgh last night, where that game went over Game 3 after Game 1 and Game 2 stayed under. So it's just about personal preference there, which one you weigh more heavily of the 2. All right, last game, Colorado, Los Angeles. Colorado minus 160, road favorites, 5.5 the total. I think in this series we've seen Colorado look better. I mentioned it earlier when Ryan talked about this series. LA only lost 2-1. How much of this series, Jordan, have you watched?
Honestly, not too much with it being the late games and all that. So I
know exactly. You got to get your rest, man. You're ready to start up a big playoff run. Plus, you mentioned you had family in town earlier this week too. That's part of it. But what I would say is that if for those that have seen this series, it feels like the games have been close. Colorado hasn't exactly steamrolled LA and pulled away. It never felt in Game 1. Well, I guess Game 2, it did go to overtime, and they were 1 shot away from winning it. But even in Game 2, like when that game was in overtime, I said, I'm still firmly in the camp that Colorado is going to score here and win this game. I really wasn't feeling that LA was going to be the team to win that game in overtime, even though it got to overtime. Like, it just never felt like LA was going to win either of those 2 games at any point. Even in overtime, like I said, in Game 2, the last game, I didn't really feel that way. But it's tough, though. I mean, somehow LA's been able to keep it tight. Forsberg's been pretty good. But I think the floodgates could open at some point. This is, again, this game only went to overtime, single overtime, not double overtime. So the double overtime under trend's not in play here for this game because Game 2 between these 2 teams only went to 1 overtime. But I'm going to take a shot with it. I know Ryan liked it as his best bet. Give me over 5.5 one more time. LA at home tries to put on a show at times. Since DJ Smith's been there, I went back and looked. They've kind of had more overs than unders at home since DJ Smith took over. And I know the 2 games in Denver were tight. I know it's a 10 straight under streak for the Colorado Avalanche. But I do think we could see this game kind of buck that trend. We do have the 2 games under, change of venue to game 3, over trend in play here as well. The same trend that cashed with Flyers Penguins last night. So I'm going to go over 5.5 here. I'm going to wait to get Colorado in game at a better price. I'm also going to wait to get Colorado first period goal at a better price here in this game, because I'm going to target it. I'm going to look to bet it, but obviously it's not at the price right now that I'm very interested in it, because Colorado first period goal for game 3 tonight is just too expensive, too pricey at the moment, -160. But we're not going to have to wait long. Like I said, with the Buffalo first goal in the first period, which we talked about earlier, you're going to be able to just wait a couple minutes. As long as Colorado doesn't score in the first 2 minutes, you're going to get a better price on Colorado to score in the first period. You'll get it down to -130, maybe even -120. That's definitely what I'll be jumping in with live as that price drops a little bit. And then as far as the props for this game here tonight, I'm still going to go back to Nichushkin for Colorado. Gabe Landeskog scored last game. He's the kind of player that elevates at this time of year. I know Ryan made the case for Arturi Lehkonen. Yeah, I don't hate that either for the Colorado Avalanche. I'm kind of with what our guy is saying in the chat, Cuban Wayne Gretzky. Kind of feels like your former Leaf, Jordan, Scott Lawton. This could be a game where he ends up kind of stepping up for the LA Kings. I think he scored most of his goals as a member of the Kings on home ice as well. So that's another thing to factor in here to this game. We've got Panarin, who's gotten a point in 2 straight games, but obviously it's a -215. We got, as far as point props, as far as blocked shots, Cody Ceci, he's gone over 1.5 blocked shots in both games in this series for Los Angeles. Cale Makar's gone over his blocked shots in both games for Colorado. Doughty's gone over 1.5 blocked shots in both games for LA. Sam Malinsky has gone over 1.5 blocked shots in both games for Colorado. And Joel Edmondson for Los Angeles, he's also gone over 1.5 blocked shots in each of the first 2 games in this series. So, and in a series where we've seen shot volume, not necessarily a ton of goals, and obviously a lot of blocked shots. And Addison pointed out that in particular with Sam Malinsky for Colorado, not only for him has it been 2 games in this series over 1.5 blocked shots, but he's been going way over that. Like we've seen, as far as blocked shots, Malinsky rack up 3-4 blocked shots even in certain games for the Avalanche in this series. So it's a ladder spot if you're so inclined for Sam Malinsky. Blocked shots could be something to consider here in this game 3 tonight with the Avs and the Kings. Jordan, what do you think here for Colorado, LA?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close tonight again. Obviously, I think kind of speaks to me that Colorado's comfortable playing in these tight games. They know how to play in them. These are some of the games you need to win in the playoffs.
No, they're comfortable winning 2-1, 3-1 hocky, 100%.
Right, yeah. Right. I think it was Alex in the chat there said could be Kopitar's final win and a goal for him. I would love to see that. That'd be pretty cool. I just think that Colorado's too good. I think this will be over in a sweep. I think Colorado's going to take the next 2 games. I think it'll be close again. I don't see it becoming a blowout maybe until game 4. But I just think they're too good. And like I said earlier, they'll want to get this done as quick as possible.
Yeah, I think they'll. Like I said, I'm not on the first period over. That much I know. Like I said, I'm going to look at the full game, but I could see 1-0 Colorado correct score first period. Actually, I don't hate that as a worth a sprinkle. That's kind of what I have in my mind here, that we could see a 1-0 Colorado first period score here in game 3 tonight between these 2 teams. But also Laferriere. I think Laferriere, for some reason, I just feel Laferriere, Lawton are the 2. LA Kings players, I think, that could have that potential to be able to make an impact. Before we let Jordan Sambrook go, and again, great to have him back. It's been too long since we've had Jordan on the show. We couldn't let you run before giving your thoughts and a chance to vent your rage, vent your frustration, whatever the case may be, on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, we haven't chatted in a while. It was obviously a dismal, miserable, disappointing season, considering, how they've been in the playoffs, for 9 straight years before having that streak snapped this year. Talk about what the season, how disappointing it was, and what you think they should do and where they should go from here.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There was, I tell my buddies, like, we were at least for 4-6 points out of a playoff spot. What was that? Christmas time, January time. They were right there, and the season could have gone completely different. And then after the Olympic break, I think they were the worst team in the NHL in terms of points. So it was tough. As a Leafs fan, it's kind of become normal to see our team in the playoffs and see them do well and all that sort of stuff. And my good buddy Zach Phillips, who runs the Leafs channel they got over there, and I talk to him all the time about it, kind of see what they're thinking. And
he's a friend of the show too. He's been on our show before. Zach, great guy and doing good things. Yep.
Yeah, so I kind of talked to him about what needs to go on and all this different stuff, and I personally just get frustrated about how it seems like a lot of the media and the fans kind of drive these players out of town. And I think we saw with Marner this year. Marner, people were saying, trade one of these guys, blah, blah, blah. But you see when Marner leaves, it's a huge loss for the team, 100-point guy. You don't usually see a guy like that PKs as well. So I don't know. They're going to need a few more pieces, I think. Stolarz was not as great as he was last year. And Joseph Wall's kind of been up and down as well. It's hard to say. You need a guy that's going to play with Matthews and Nyes on that top line. And obviously Nylander's capable, but I think Nylander and JT are kind of stuck together.
You mean you're no longer sold that Matthias Michelli is that guy?
I think I wasn't sold very early on there. Everybody thought he was going to be the next Marner, but that wasn't the case. But
that's one of the catalysts in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's one of the catalysts, Jordan, in my mind, that why Brad Treliving got the boot. He actually thought Matthias Michelli could be a big-time supplement to what they lost with Mitch Marner on that top line, and it turned out to be just a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah, and you kind of need your top line to be stick together all year round, or at least most of the year, kind of build that chemistry. You need to be your best line pretty much every night. I see the thing in the chat there and about Matthews leaving. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it's going to depend on how next year goes. Obviously, I think I saw his end of the year presser there, and it wasn't great for the future. It looked like he kind of just said he'll see how it plays out, everything like that. He just kind of gave general answers. So it's hard to say, but it'd be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, the next thing is seeing if they keep their draft pick this year. That'll be the big thing. But I think that draft pick will be huge in terms of who they pick and all that stuff. If they do get to keep it, hopefully they win the lottery. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I think they need a piece for that top line. The cap going up, you might be able to grab somebody. I haven't really taken a look at who's a UFA this summer, but I'm sure they can hopefully go grab somebody and make some moves. And I guess the next thing might be to hire a GM. So we'll see what their plan is. But it was a tough year, but hopefully they can bounce back next year. It's weird not having the Leafs in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. It's weird. It's a weird, especially this core. They at least get in the playoffs. We expected, like, maybe not win the division, but to go from winning that division, having the season they had, second round again last year, losing to Florida, and then just all of a sudden fall right out of the playoffs and end up being one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference too. That is rather staggering. There are some pieces though. They have depth in net. That's the one good news. Bit of good news. Stolarz, Woll, and of course they got 2 really good young goalies have a chance to be something in the future at the NHL level down with the Marlies, who are just starting their Calder Cup playoff run last night with a big win too. They smoked Rochester. I think it was 5-0 last night in game 1. But Hildeby and Artur Akhtiamov down there, the 2 young goalies. So they do have depth there at that position, Jordan. At least you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have the goalie depth. I hope one of them turns out.
Russell Deck says, I just moved to Estero near Hertz Arena. Looking forward to watching that. It's Everblades, but you're close enough. Yeah.
Hopefully, see you at the game tomorrow night. But yeah, with the depth in net, hopefully one of them kind of takes that next step. Obviously, Wool and Stolars have now kind of cemented themselves, but Hildeby and I don't know how to pronounce the other guy's name, but
Akhtiamov, yeah, that's what I'm here for.
They've been solid. So obviously, to get them that NHL experience, I think they both played a couple games this year, and I guess time will tell. We'll wait for the draft and the free agency. So.
Great stuff. All right. We're going to let you run in a minute. I want to ask you one thing about the Florida Everblades as you begin your playoff run. If I had to say one player on your team that if you guys go deep into this playoffs, get to the championship series and win it all, who's that player that's going to be a big-time factor, big-time impact for you guys? Who should I be keeping an eye on?
Oh, we got so many. I don't know if I can pick one. Our leading scorer
maybe
this
pick
year.
2 or 3 if you want. I won't relegate you to one.
We'll go with one because I can name the whole team. But, I mean, obviously Cam Johnson, everybody knows him, our goalie. He's been great for us for 7 years now.
You're right. He's been your foundation of these runs. He's been great.
Yep. Yeah. We'll go with our leading scorer this year, Anthony Romano. He's been a great piece for us. Been great. He played in Texas all of last year, so he was in the American League all of last year. But he's been awesome and led our team in points in the regular season, and I could definitely see him doing that in the playoffs.
As someone that obviously plays in Florida, of course, during the hockey season, can you validate Russell's comment? Can only bet with Hard Rock down here, and they suck.
I think so. I don't think any of the other ones are legal in Florida.
That's right, exactly. That's all there is down there. It's 100% in Florida right now. Yeah, is Hard Rock. Hard Rock Bet. That's the one down there. No question. Yeah, I've heard some mixed reviews. I'm going to be kind and not say all bad. Mixed reviews with Hard Rock Bet down there. Of course, though, Jordan always comes home a little bit for the summer. That's how I spent the day with him with the Blue Jays game. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. Was it last year or 2 years ago? But
2 years ago, I think it was, because I wasn't home too much last summer, and then and then this summer we got the wedding coming up, so I'll be down here for most of it. Yeah,
no doubt. But that was fun, and his upcoming lovely bride there, Sarah. Sarah. That's got to be a part of the wedding music composition of your big ceremony. Sarah by Jefferson Starship. That's a travesty if it's not.
I know. I got to mix that in. I feel like I got to mix in something for like the Canadian versus U.S. Maybe play some Stronger Beer by Tim Hitz or
which I like. I'm not a big country guy, but I like that song. It's got some
or maybe some Drake or something. I don't know. Yeah. We'll mix something Canadian in for us fellow Canadians. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course, Jordan's about to turn into a married man later this year, which we're excited about that for him. I met his fiance. You picked a good one, in my opinion. So, like I said, we're wishing you both all the best, just like we're wishing you all the best in your upcoming ECHL Kelly Cup playoff run with the Florida Everblades, which gets underway Friday night with Game 1 against. Why am I blanking on who you're playing in the first
Savannah Ghost Pirates?
Savannah Ghost Pirates. Okay, There we go. Good stuff for Game 1 on Friday night. I'll get the little stick out, the little IPTV app. We'll get the Flow Hockey up and running, and we'll get that on one of the screens whenever you're playing throughout the Kelly Cup playoffs. Jordan, great to catch up, man. It's been too long. We'll just give you the floor here. Anything you want to say before you say goodbye?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for everyone having me on. It's great to see some familiar faces in the chat, and I'm always glad to come on and give my 2 cents about the NHL series, and yeah, I just want to say thanks and great to see everybody, and I guess we'll try to be on a little quicker this time than the gap from the last time to this time I've been on. So maybe
partially me too. Like I don't want to be like saying every couple of weeks when you're in the middle of the long season, like come on the show. Yeah, exactly.
I think when we won it 2 years ago, I think I came on right after we won. So maybe in the next couple months we can relive that again.
We will, absolutely. There's no question, and we hope it'll be after raising that damn trophy again one more time. that would be great to be able to see it. No question about it. Great stuff, Jordan. We wish you all the best. Game 1 and beyond, starting tomorrow night as you chase another Kelly Cup championship in the East Coast Hockey League. And again, I know the chat loves you. The Ice Guys family has your back. We're going to try. You better make some highlight. You better get the Florida Everblades Twitter social account busy with some Jordan Sambrook highlights for us during the playoffs, because we'll post them and we'll retweet them every time we see them. And you doing some damage in the playoffs. Let's maybe get 1 or 2 of those. Sound good?
Oh yeah, I think I got the first goal of the playoffs last year, I think, against Jacksonville. So
that's right.
Hopefully it's a different. We won all 4 games last year. We swept them in the first round, but every game went to overtime. It was the first time in ECHL history that there was a sweep of all overtime games. So hopefully make it a little easier on ourselves this year. But that would be nice in the first round for sure. But I appreciate everybody in the chat and also saying good luck, and we said thank you and great to see everybody.
You better score a goal in the first 10 minutes, says Addison, because he loves those goal in the first 10 minutes props in the NHL. So there you go. You can't bet those in the ECHL, though. That's the only problem with that. Jordan, awesome, man. Not congratulations. You haven't won yet. Good luck and all the best to you, obviously, in the playoffs, and we'll see you again down the road.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
There he is, man. Jordan Sambrook, friend of the show here on the Ice Guys, as he embarks on yet another ECHL Kelly Cup playoff season with the Florida Everblades, and we're wishing him all the best, certainly, with that. And by the way, as far as this show, but we hope you enjoyed our betcasts moving forward. And like I said, we're going to have probably a couple more, I would say, next week as far as betcasts are concerned. So we're definitely excited about that. It was a lot of fun last night as far as the betcasts, with last night with the Western Conference games and Tuesday night with the Eastern Conference games. A lot of fun. I hope you guys never forget how I stuck my neck out for you guys last night, staying on that betcast all through the double overtime against Dallas and Minnesota. I even had, I had to lie down after the first overtime. I was just, sort of getting sore here sitting on this damn chair for all the time. So, but we went and did the audio only version of the betcast in the second overtime, and we got it through to its conclusion. So never forget what I do for you here on the Ice Guys show. But in all seriousness, thanks to Jordan Sambrook, Ryan Sura, great guests, both of them. Yeah, Jordan Sambrook's just in it. He doesn't get to watch as much NHL as he'd like because he's busy playing throughout the season. And so, that's why he's not providing any best bet or bargain bin on the show. That's the reason for it. But anyway, good stuff. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And again, check out wizardsportspicks.com. Daily premium picks, long-term subscription passes available at wizardsportspicks.com. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We've had 2 Stanley Cup playoff live betcasts for our Patreon members this week. We're going to have at least 1, maybe even 2 next week. Dates to be determined. We got to figure out what the schedule is too, closer to the dates. But again, a great betcast the last 2 nights. Make sure you get on board. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Just $10 per month. Excited, obviously, about what's to come. And also another thing too is my Dub Club subscription service. $50 off discount is still available. So look, we're getting a little thin now in the sports betting calendar year. We've just got, remainder of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, MLB, also Major League Baseball still good. UFL, I'm off to a great start in the United Football League. There is football going on right now, and I am betting it. I am handicapping it, the UFL. There's all that going on with the Dub Club platform subscription right now in all sports for me. And if you're a Patreon member, you and only Patreon members only have access to that $50 off 1 month all sports subscription discount to Dub Club with yours truly. That's posted on the Patreon page as well. And CFL is coming up in 2 months as well. That'll be part of Dub Club. So make sure you check that out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So get on board. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. And check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We mentioned it yesterday, still on the table, 20% off everything at the Ice Guys store for the next week. So make sure you get on board and order anything. And the weather's warming up, T-shirt, perfect time of year to maybe get one of those. Any item at the Ice Guys store, 20% off every item at the store right now. Make sure you get on, check that out, and take advantage of it for the next 7 days over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bet coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night, and I got 2 bargain bin specials picked out here for this Thursday slate. We're going to start with Buffalo-Boston. It's a Josh Doan night to me. Plus 350. Josh Doan, I think tonight's the night. He gets a big goal for the Buffalo Sabres. He's had looks. He's had chances. If you watched in Game 1 and Game 2, even with Buffalo struggling at times to get it rolling, he's been still going to the net, getting to the blue paint, trying to make life difficult on Jeremy Swayman. And eventually that kind of effort will pay off. Hopefully it's tonight. Josh Doan for Buffalo, plus 350 for my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night, we're going to go to Ottawa, Carolina. I'm feeling it with Jake Sanderson tonight. I think he's going to pot one. Not just get a point, not just get an assist. I think he's scoring a goal. I think he's finding the back of the net tonight for the Ottawa Senators in this game in a near must-win spot for the Senators. Jake Sanderson, plus 550. The best price out there. So Josh Doan, Buffalo, plus 350. Jake Sanderson, Ottawa, plus 350 for my bargain bin specials here for this Thursday NHL slate. Bargain bin special for Alex. Anze Kopitar, LA, plus 420. And again, he might be playing his last 2 games of his career, assuming this may end if this ends in a sweep. So the clock is ticking on the career of Anze Kopitar. Alex is going to go with him to find the back of the net, plus 420 for the LA Kings for his bargain, for his best bet. Best bet for Alex, too, Buffalo first goal, first period, plus 130 here in this one. So Buffalo first goal, first period. I'm going to go to Ottawa, minus 120 for my best bet here for this Thursday night slate. Ottawa Senators, minus 120, the best price out there. I don't love the idea of Anderson playing after a double overtime game, those old creaky bones of his. I'm overreacting when I say that, obviously. He's not that old, but you get my point. He's a guy that's had a lot of injuries. He's a guy that's had to play some real high-level, intense, stressful minutes in net for the first 2 games of this series, especially Game 2. I don't think he's going to be as sharp tonight. And the last time Carolina played in Ottawa, they got absolutely blitzed and ambushed. The Carolina's going to win this series. I still think so, but this is an Ottawa spot tonight, and I think they get it done. Ottawa minus 120 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Looking forward, obviously, to this Thursday night slate. Tomorrow, we're also looking forward to our guest, Rob Schremp, former pro hockey player, NHL player. He's been on a Players Suite show before. He's also been on the regular daily show, I believe, before as well. So we're excited to get him back on the show to talk Stanley Cup playoffs tomorrow. And Alex will be back in the fold as well. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the playoff action and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.